What's up, everybody? It's Gems, and today I wanted to talk about my battle with hand, wrist, and arm pain that I've been dealing with over the past year, what caused it, and some of the things that I've been doing that have brought me back to full health. So about a year ago, I started getting pain in my hands, in my wrist, and in my forearm. And it got so bad at one point that I could barely use a mouse. I couldn't even really brush my teeth even, and I got this tingling, burning sensation in my hands. So I was thinking that I probably have carpal tunnel, and it was definitely some combination of carpal tunnel, repetitive stress injury, or tendonitis. I almost had like a tennis elbow because I got a lot of pain in my forearm right here, pain in my wrist, and then my fingers. So I had a lot of pain, and at one point I had to call out of work. I had to completely stop gaming. I was really worried that it was gonna jeopardize my career and my favorite hobby in video games. So first of all, what is carpal tunnel syndrome? Your median nerve runs through your arm and goes through a passage in your wrist called the carpal tunnel. And when there's a lot of pressure and stress on that, it can get inflamed and cause this tingling, burning sensation on your palm and hands. And it can be really painful, and it can make using a mouse or really doing anything with your hands really difficult and just not fun at all. So rest is obviously one of the most important things you should do if you're having a lot of pain already, but there's several other things that you can do outside of that that will really improve your situation. The first is ergonomics. So ergonomics is basically just your entire setup when you're sitting at your computer. What chair are you using? What mouse do you have? One of the first things I did is I used to have a Staples executive chair. I thought it was really cool when I got it. It's nice, it's leather. It feels really comfortable when you're sitting back in it. But the problem with it was it didn't have any adjustability, and the posture when sitting in it naturally was a very relaxed sitting back kind of position, which just didn't work for me while I was actually playing games. So what I ended up doing is I would just sort of stack a pillow behind me so that I could kind of sit up more forward, but I ended up just sort of having really bad posture, having my shoulders very forward, and I was just sitting in a really unnatural, really stressed out position. So one of the biggest things that has helped me a lot, and I really recommend investing in a good ergonomic chair. So I have here this chair called the Hyken. It has an adjustable armrest, it has a headrest, it has adjustable back, has lumbar support, and it was really not much more expensive than the original leather office chair that I had. So the next thing I got was a vertical mouse. I spent about $15 on this vertical mouse. So as you can see, it lays like this, and it puts your forearm and your hand in what's called the neutral handshake position. So a normal mouse, you're using like this, right? Which kind of twists the bones in your forearm, kind of like this. And having the vertical mouse kind of straightens out those bones, the two bones in your forearm. So it's just in a more neutral position and just kind of lets you relax. So that is another thing I would recommend getting. You basically want everything to line up. You want your shoulders to be resting when you're sitting there. You want your hand to just naturally fall to where your mouse is, and you want your desk height to be right at that level where you're just all in place, and you want your monitor at a height where you're just looking straight ahead. Rule of thumb, I think, is to put the top of your monitor about at eye line so that you're not looking up or down, you're just looking straight ahead with your back and your neck all in alignment. Another big mistake that I made when I was having all this pain is I was trying to do some stretches, but I was doing them way too hard and way too long. Basically, I was just doing really aggressive stretches for like 30 seconds or longer. And with smaller muscles like the ones in your forearm, you don't need to stretch as hard or as long. You really don't even need to feel the stretch. It just needs to be just enough so that you're loosening it up, and it doesn't need to be for too long. For like a muscle like your quadricep, when you're, pulling that really hard for like 60 seconds, that's normal for a big muscle, but you got to be a lot more careful with more delicate muscles. I looked up a lot of videos about stretching, and I also started strengthening, surprisingly enough, my shoulders. So basically when I'm sitting at a computer, my arms are forward, and so it's really like you're only using the front side of your shoulder. And what happened with me is that I got sort of an imbalance in the strength of the front of my shoulder versus the back. So basically the way I tested this is you can put your arms out, point your thumbs down, and do a stretch up and down like this, and it actually was really difficult for me to do this at first, and that's how I realized that the back of my shoulder was just super, super weak. So I started strengthening that, because the shoulder is the start of your arm, and you know, when you have an imbalance like that in the muscle strength, it can really mess up everything going on below your shoulder. So that's one thing that I would recommend trying, is doing some shoulder exercises to just kind of make that muscle group a lot stronger. Something else that helped a lot is I got some wrist braces for actually both of my arms, and mainly I was using them when I was asleep. So every night when I go to bed, I put these on, and what it does is it just ensures that your wrist and your hand are in a neutral position, because some mornings when I didn't have them, I would wake up and I would just be like, you know, curled up under my blanket, you know, with my wrists in these really odd, really stressful positions. And you want your arms to be in a neutral position when you're sleeping, so that your muscles can just kind of have a relaxed, good rest when you're asleep. And surprisingly enough, one of the things that actually helped immediately for me was compression. So I actually just got some like regular wristband, sweatband type compression, and putting those on, and also like a tennis elbow, because I was getting a lot of pain right here, as I mentioned. So getting like a tennis elbow strap helped a lot. So I actually always wear a setup kind of like this. And the compression just kind of helps lower inflammation physically by just kind of compressing everything. So definitely try that out. The fourth thing was my diet. So actually, my mother is a nutritionist, and I got her to send me an anti-inflammatory recipe. So I've been drinking this smoothie every day, and I feel like it's helped a lot as well. It's got a lot of natural anti-inflammatory foods like spinach and blueberries inside of it. That combined with exercise. So last year I kind of let myself go and I wasn't really exercising that much. Now I'm running about a mile every day. So just overall being healthy is obviously just gonna help with everything in regards to your health. I still get some pain these days, but it's only about 10% at what it was at its worst last year. So I've come a long way, and I'm really glad that I'm able to continue doing my job and playing my favorite video games. It's really upsetting to find out that you have some kind of carpal tunnel or repetitive stress injury, but don't give up. Make sure you try all these things I've suggested, and just be really mindful of your own health, because it can get really bad if you don't take care of it. So as long as you're thinking about it, that's the first step. So just be very conscious of it. Make sure you're relaxed when you're sitting at your desk. Invest in ergonomics. Do stretches, eat right, exercise, and sleep with a wrist brace. All this stuff will help a lot. That's about it. That's a lot of the stuff that I've been doing that has helped me a lot. So I'm not a doctor, don't take my word for it, although a lot of these tips I did learn from my doctor. So go see a doctor if it gets really bad for you. This has been Gems. Thanks for watching.